So today we are having a conversation with someone that is very well known to Startup Centre Victoria. She's been a participant in the Pre-Accelerator program, but long before that, she was a mentor. She's a founder of the Bendigo Tech community and a sponsor of that. She is one of our ecosystem warriors in the startup world. It's my pleasure to welcome Steph Kohler to our little chat about startups today. Thank you, Steph, for joining us.
Terry, you're too kind. It's a pleasure to be on.
Every word was true, and everyone that knows you knows I'm telling the truth. We do appreciate what you put in. And your story is a unique one because it's an exciting one. It's been a few years since you've done the pre-accelerator program, but you have such an interesting story to tell. I really want to get into it. Tell us first, Ligantic. We can see the branding up there. You are strutting the stuff. What is Ligantic? Let's hear all about it.
Going straight in with the tough questions there, Kerry. No. So Ligantic is the essential platform for building AI-powered applications all the way from prototype to production. And so when I say that, sometimes people's eyes glaze over. But what we're really about, our mission is to make emerging tech accessible for the everyday person, whether that's the everyday business owner, the everyday professional, and even enterprises that we work with.
So you've hinted a bit at the problem that you were solving there, but why did you go into business? What prompted you to jump off that cliff and start your own business?
So I'm going to give a little bit of a hat tip back to yourself there, Kerry, with the Startup Central Victoria Pre-Accelerator program that we joined back in 2023. And so this was right around where we were exploring. We had a whole bunch of different side projects, like exploring and working with generative AI. We wanted to understand how could we use this new technology? How could we make it work for making boring bits of business easier to automate? And that was the genesis of a problem for us. Then we really got serious and went through the pre-accelerator program itself. And that helped us to set up and really fine tune what problems we wanted to solve. And if I talk to my co-founding team, so it's not just me who founded Ligantic. I've got two excellent co-founders that I've had the pleasure of working with. One of them since I was 5, it's my brother, and the other with a few almost a half a decade now. So Mark Kohler, who's our deep technologist with a background there, came in and saw the potential around what this emerging technology could do. And we're seeing this play out exactly as he said it would, actually, around with a big hype cycle in AI and what it can do in business and personal lives. Some big impacts around players who are using it in not safe or secure ways. And also a big shift across the industry, both tech, business, and society from this. So we wanted to get in and start exploring around how we might use this. Carmel, my other co-founder, has come in and seen what a big impact this is happening in the business ecosystem, and where we saw this as a big opportunity to, again, help bridge that gap between the humans who are doing the work and the technology that can make it easier. So I've talked a little bit about the co-founding team and where we came together, but really we've all got decades of experience in software engineering and in the technology industry, and a united or joint passion towards making technology work for people. And that's really when we keep going around in circles for what we wanted to build, and when we keep talking to people, this is what they want us to build, is a platform that helps make that easier.
So I'm really interested in these team dynamics. So the picture is you were all working individually in your own career streams,
Yeah.
but you all knew each other and you started talking about that. What roles did you see in the terms of the startup? You know, what roles did you take and how did they develop? Was there a little bit of argy-bargy there, Steph?
Well, the way that I really see us is we work as almost a Venn diagram of the three of us. So we've each got individual strengths, and we have gone back to one of the startup frameworks where you need a hacker, a hustler, and a hipster. to really round out a business offering. The hacker is that technologist, the one who can build the things. The hustler is the business facing, they're going out getting the revenue, they're connecting with clients. And the hipster is the one designing and bringing that user experience to life. And so I would put Mark as our hacker, Carmel as our hustler. She's got a lot of business experience in that space. And hipster kind of fell through to me having to wear that hat, even though I've definitely brought some more designers in since we started.
So talk us about the pathway. You talked about the accelerator program. Was it a long process in and around that to get it started? Was it a long, protracted exercise or?
We were before the pre-accelerator program, we were building on some ideas, and they were just that. We were kind of getting together and going, well, this feels like a really cool project, this feels like a good project, and it was really sharpening our skills. It was very internally focused. Um, when we joined the pre-accelerator, it was a turning point for us as a team, where we, instead of looking at what we wanted to build, we started looking at what the industry, our clients, our prospects needed. And when we started having that shift in our focus, a shift in our area, it really became incredibly clear, both our roles and the different paths or steps forward. So the pre-accelerator program was really good because it brought in every week we had a expert in a specific area that we might not have had a lot of experience in. And it caused us to have our workshop that week, but then have a bunch of follow-up conversations internally as a team to go, well, what is the legal structure of our business going to be? And what is the point of difference in our marketing approach going to be? What is the, IP protection from a legal perspective is going to be? And what do we need to do to make sure that we're setting up that all appropriately? So it was that monumental shift around going, this is something that we're exploring because we're curious, to we're curious and we want to deliver an incredible amount of value to the people in our ecosystem and the people that we want to work with.
And if my memory serves me right, you launched on the showcase night at the end. So that was a 3-month period. You actually achieved a lot of work in that time to bring that up. So talk to us a bit about from launching with the three of you to where you are now. What has gone well? What hasn't? What's been the big change from the three of you? I take it was just the three of you to where you are now.
Yeah, so since that point, that launch period, and that was such a fun, rapid process to launch. And you can probably see that video somewhere as we did that. But things have monumentally shifted. So we've got a larger team now. That's always one of the early growth indicators is our team's doubled since then in terms of permanent staff. We've moved from fractional co-founding to this is now the full-time role, giving up some really big positions in corporate lives to go and take the startup route. But mainly the big thing is we continue to reinvest in the maturity of our platform. If I look at some of the tech that we had available or the platform that was available when we launched, it was really good, but it's continued to develop and mature and provide a lot more value based on the feedback that we're getting from our clients. So one of the things that I love that we do is a product accelerator program. This is a 6-week program where we partner with either a greenfields project or a startup team. And they come in and they build on our platform. They build their service on our platform. And it's such rapid building, rapid ideation where we're actually helping them to launch their viable product and scale that out. And that has been the biggest source of feedback for us to continue maturing our platform, making it easier and making it more functional. And so I think over that time, it's been listening to our clients, working with them to continue improving the platform, improving that offering, and shaping up the things that they want to be building on there.
So I can hear you've got a very close relationship with your clients to keep improving that. What in the business context, what have been the challenges? What sort of has it been funding? Has it been infrastructure? Has it been reach? What have been the real challenges that you've had to work on?
Like, yes, all of the above. Um,
Okay.
I think one of the things that we've opted to go down that pathway of profit driven, and so we've been completely bootstrapped from the get-go, and we continue to be a profit driven and growth driven organization in that way. And so that's always that's the hard that we chose, and that's always difficult because whilst we have big opportunities on our plate and on our horizon, it means that we need to continually drive revenue into the business so that we can meet those needs of our clients both now and future. Which is always a tough trade-off to make when you're in the decision going, I just wish that we could, focus on the maturity. But in the end, that's also given us such a big benefit because, as I mentioned, by going through a revenue driven pipeline, we're talking with clients every day and we're getting that feedback. Whereas if we were, having an external funding or had more funding available where we could just go into build mode, we wouldn't have that client voice in there and that client need driving the development.
And your reach, where are you finding your clients? What's been working for you and where are they coming from?
So I think there's probably the first path that we went down was the three F's. I think I heard this recently the other day, and it is the first clients that you get are friends, family, and fools. So once we expanded and we went through that entire market, we've actually been going through a couple of different other ways where we get new clients. So we've got a really strong channel partnership program. So that's where people, consultants, team members who are going out and talking to people, they go through, they refer us into opportunities, and we give them through revenue of the sale. It's a really great process where everyone gets a win-win-win. They're able to offer additional services to their clients that they don't have available, and we're able to grow our reach in that way. So that's been a really strong revenue generation process for us. And then the other one is we're getting a lot of referrals from clients who have already built on our platform. Again, they kind of go from the hearing about us, they become a client, and then they move into our channel partnership process, which has been a really repeatable pipeline for us, which is, I think, one of the things we're really proud of because it means that they're really happy with the service that they're getting and they're able to keep referring people in. But we also recently, as a co-founding group, went through and recognized that revenue generation and sales is not something that we've got a depth of experience in. And I think that's one of the things that you should always be looking at as your leadership team is like, where do we have a skills deficit or an experience deficit? And how can we bring experts into our fold or in coaches into our realm to help us improve on those skills? So we signed up for a B2B sales accelerator with a team called Sell Anything. And it was incredible. It was a 5-week accelerator program where we got thrown into the deep end and an absolute masterclass of the entire sales process. So that has completely shifted how we're doing outreach, how we're doing sales, how we're moving prospects through the pipeline, and, all these things that I previously wouldn't have been able to talk to you confidently about before.
So, what's the worst job that you really want someone else to take on for you?
Oh, okay. The finance. I hate doing all of the contracts and all of the sending that through because I prefer just to have conversations with our clients, with our prospects. And so when we go through and they go, yeah, that's great. Let's kick this off. We've automated a lot of that piece. Obviously, we're eating our own dog food or drinking our own champagne, whichever version of the quote you like. But that piece where I go from a conversation to I need to now get sort of this contract execution before we can even kick in. And I'm excited. I want to just get started straight away.
Yeah. And knowing your value and your worth and yes, how you structure all these things, it's really a tough time. And everyone says finance, so there's nothing new. So, one thing I do recall is that you had a name change through the program. I was going to ask you about what were the lessons learned along the way of your startup. So, what are you've talked about the challenge of finance and all of that, but I am interested. Why did you change your name?
You're having me cast my mind all the way back now. I think when we first started in the pre-accelerator program, we were focusing on building a productivity tool. And it was really great. I still use the remnants of it today. But we realized halfway through the program that we were again being internally focused. We were having a build it and they will come approach, which just doesn't work when you put it out into the real world. And so as we were going through that process of building that productivity tool, we actually found that the tool set that we had built to build the tool was going to be much more useful for people. So we wanted to make that available for anyone to be able to build an emerging tech solution like a productivity tool, be able to build it quickly, be able to build it in a safe and scalable way so that it's not just a fun tool that they can use, but it's a fun tool that they can build and confidently scale into building their own business. And that's one of the goals that we pivot towards, is that we we as a co-founding team all have this really big vision where we can help empower people to use technology in a way that changes their lives. And because we've had that experience ourselves, because we've had those skills, and all through our career, we've been able to do that. We want to be able to, now that it's a lot easier and we've got the emerging technology that makes it so, we want to build a platform and connect people to the different ways of thinking and building that they can monumentally shift their world. They can go out and be a solopreneur or an entrepreneur, or they can build things and automate their life so that they're not spending, 8 hours on admin. Those sorts of things really light us up. And so that was where the pivot came from, because we weren't in love with making people more productive on a productivity tool. We're actually in love with empowering people to use technology to make their lives better.
I can see why you would prefer to go out and talk to people than doing the finances. So, what is you've got, you're on a growth trajectory. What is your sweet spot? Do you know where you're going to end up? Do you have a vision of what your business is going to look like in 5 years' time? Or you're just in such a fast keeping up with change that you haven't had time to think about that?
We actually have a pretty values-centered approach, and every decision that we have has to be reactive to the reality that we're living within. So, as I said, we're a revenue-driven business. So when an opportunity comes to us, we're going to filter that through, does this align with our long-term vision? Does this increase the maturity or the breadth of the offering of our platform? And do we want to take this client an opportunity on? And that's a really strict sort of analysis that we need to do, because we don't want to find ourselves stretched too thin and in a business that we don't recognize in 5 years. We want to make sure that we're continuing to live true to our values, live true to our mission, live true to the fact that we want to build this platform that can help empower people, and that we can always make sure that we're still responsive, but we're driving towards an area where we're either reaching more people or we're helping the people that we've already reached in a better way.
Good decision. A common mistake with startups is we just take every client, even when they're not a good match, and that can be detrimental, or a good learning curve, one or the other.
A
So
painful learning curve, yeah.
speaking of learning, to all the startups out there thinking, I've got an idea, will I start up? What are your top tips for startups, casting your mind back over the past few years while they're fresh in your mind?
What I can do is I can talk about the sort of major takeaways that we always, when we're talking about the product accelerator clients that we've got coming through, when they're building something, it's again getting out of that build it and they will come mindset to what is the smallest slice of value that I can build and then learn from, and build and then learn from, and inviting those clients in as soon as you can to get that real true feedback. That's the easiest thing, because you can spend so long being and I was called out for it, and it really did shift our pivot, was a entrepreneur. You're building something on the side and you're building it silently, and we're in stealth mode and we're going to launch it and it's going to change the world. But if you can absolutely flip that on the head and go, what unique piece of value can I provide right now that can validate this idea or give me a bit of learning, and what's the hypothesis that I can put forward. So, if you're thinking that you're going to be a farmer with seed delivery out to Australia, and you're going to change the biodiversity of Australia by providing seeds to everyone. I don't know, that's great idea. Feel free to steal it as a startup idea. How could you validate that idea that clients would want this, that you could do this manually before you automate and buy a big seed sorting machine and design all of these things for scale? What small version of this can you build right now in a weekend? And can you get one client on it? Can you get 10 clients on it? And sort of rapid fire getting that growth, and then going, well, what's the next problem, or what's the next validation that I need to do is my next step. So taking that step from entrepreneur to building something and getting clients onboarded to it.
Great tip. Great tip. Anything else come to mind before we let you get back to your busy clientele work?
Probably, I'll give a hat tip to the Startup Central Victoria and all of the supporters in the ecosystem. If you if you want to build something, you can't do it alone. You need to do it with a group of mentors, ask for advice, reach out to people in your region, people in your industry, and have a coffee and get that advice from people who have done it before, whether they're, 10 steps ahead of you or one step ahead of you. Just go through and find the people who are doing it really, really well and ask for their advice and work with them. You don't have to figure it all out on your own.
Fantastic. Now we can't finish up without giving a plug to the Bendigo. Now your Bendigo-based Central Victoria, obviously, your Bendigo tech community. Tell us a little bit about that and why people should come along and check it out.
I love it. So, about 8 years ago, we founded what was at that time called the Bendigo Developer Meetup. And it has been running every month for the last 8 years. And in that time, we meet monthly, we come together, we share a showcase of things that we're working on, a celebration of all things tech or tech adjacent. And recently, we've gone through a rebrand to the Bendigo Tech Community because we found that was a more inclusive name. And we wanted to be more inclusive for people who might be tech curious or might be technology adjacent, but they're not necessarily software developers. And so we've found that that's been a really great community for us to build and meet monthly and have conversations. So on the fourth Tuesday of every month, you'll find an event happening locally. Come down and introduce yourself, have a conversation, and find some of those people that you might want to build with.
That's a great way to end. Open invitation. Thank you once again, Steph, for joining us today.
Thanks so much, Kerry.